Hi guys. A quote from one of my favorite books, Betrayal in the City says, "When the madness of an entire nation disturbs a solitary mind, it is not enough to say that the man is mad." And I want us to think of this statement in light of what I'll be talking about and what Jim Wanjigi is currently doing versus our silence. So Jimmy Wanjigi has been going around media stations just trying to educate the Kenyans on the debt situation and the economic situation overall. And a lot of people might just think he's a madman just making noise. And in his interview in Citizen TV, I think yesterday or there, I'm not quite sure, but there was an interview he did on Citizen TV, and he was asked, "Why is it that you are the only one pointing this out?" Now, again, remember the quote that I said. Anyway, there's something he has been talking about, which I want us to just talk about in a few minutes just to bring this information to you, and that's the Eurobond mystery. So, a bond, for those who do not understand, is simply a debt instrument that is issued by a government or a company in an effort to raise money to run its business operations. Now, a Eurobond, on the other hand, is simply an international bond, not necessarily in euros, but just an international bond used to raise finance abroad, for different countries. And one thing I should just let you know first of all, in Kenya we are only allowed to borrow for development purposes. So infrastructural development or whatever, we do not borrow for recurrent expenses like payment of salaries for civil servants and all that. Sadly, that's what has been happening lately. Anyway, back to what I'm talking about. So in June 2014, the government, then led by President Uhuru Kenyatta, floated on the Irish Stock Exchange to raise money for a general budget and for infrastructure development, which was one of his key promises during his campaign in the 2013 elections. So Uhuru had promised to just have a lot of railways, a lot of roads, airports, essentially just focusing on transport and infrastructure in general, and to ensure that there is some development. So this bond was supposed to raise 250 billion Kenyan shillings. One thing about this bond, that it was supposed to ease the country from borrowing locally, which comes with high interest. So it was supposed to lower the interest and just prevent us from borrowing locally. But as we all know, that didn't happen. We still continued borrowing from local lenders and banks and all that, which comes at a high interest. Now, this Eurobond is maturing next year, right? In June 2024. But the reason why I choose to talk about it is because this is money that was supposed to be used for development. We did not see most of it being used in development. Either way, we are still going to pay it come next year, June. So, where did this money go to? According to the Auditor General, then that was Edward Ouko, 199 billion had been raised and 53.2 billion shillings, if I'm not wrong. And this money was not put in the consolidated fund. In the consolidated fund, yes, this money was put in offshore accounts. Now, I'm not sure if we have offshore accounts for the exchequer in Kenya, at least not to my knowledge, but it was put in offshore accounts. And while the alarm was being raised, this money was transferred back to a consolidated fund. It was similar, for some reason, brought back to Kenya. Now, what is sad is that there was an alarm raised by several people because, one, there was 215 billion shillings that was raised from the Eurobond, which could not be accounted for. That means we did not see any receipts or any transactions that were happening that seemed to be payment for infrastructural projects and all that. We did not see any infrastructural projects because, I mean, if it was meant to build roads, we could be seeing those roads. We could be seeing, a lot of things that are happening, but that was not the case. So no one knows where this money was going to. No one knows what's happening. And the government and the IMF insist that that money, the 215 billion shillings, was accounted for. Now, no one has been able to trace these accounts. No one has been able to see evidence of where this money went, what project it was used for. And this is where I fault the government, or this is where I find problem or understand where Jimmy Wanjigi is coming from. This is money that was to be used for certain things, but it was not. Seemingly, it was pocketed because we had our former president, saying 2 billion inapotea every day. Where was this money going to? And most of all, where was this money coming from? I am pretty sure most of it was from this Eurobond anyway. But come next year, we are still going to pay it. Now that brings me to the next concept that Jimmy Wanjigi is trying to highlight. That is the concept of odious debts. Now I'll do a separate video, and I've written a paper on this. Kindly, you can just check it out. I'll be able to share it, I think. I don't know, I'll see how I'll be able to share it, but it's on my LinkedIn page. And the concept of odious debt essentially is, if this money was borrowed by our government for a certain project like development and we have not seen that, we are then allowed to declare it as odious and say, you know what, guys, we're not going to pay it because it did not serve us. Those who took it, those who spent it in their own way, should pay it. But there are consequences to this, which I'll talk about in a later video because I want to keep this one short. Yes, so just based on what I was saying, this money disappeared into thin air. We did not see the development projects. Yes, we have seen roads, but it does not amount to the 250 billion that was being raised, because we also raise our money locally. We have borrowed from local lenders, and now they've come knocking because they want their money back. Where is this money? We don't have it. We didn't see it. We have not seen where it was used, but we have to pay for it. Anyway, I just urge you guys, look at Jimmy Wanjigi's clips. I think he was on Spice FM, he was on Citizen, he appeared before the parliamentary committee. If you can watch those videos, watch those videos. Kindly read my paper on odious debt. You can look at several resources or several material that has been written about that concept, and also about the Eurobond, and then feel free to chip into the conversation. I think it makes more sense if all of us participate in this sensitization. It makes more sense if all of us actually get to know and understand what's happening to our money, what's happening with our government, where our money goes essentially. Yes, bye.